Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and I finally got my hands on the coveted G Pro X Superlight 2 after almost 3 years of no actual major flagship update from Logitech. We got the exact same thing, no joke, from the exterior. Aside from the USB-C and the new poor mouse skate design, there is no indication that this is a different mouse. It's really just internal changes rather than a generational leap. They got the weight down around 3 grams, pretty big, give it up to him. But yeah, this is just going to be some first impressions. Shout out to Max Gaming for sending this out to me. I have had this mouse for around a day. Not shout out to Logitech for not sending it out to me, but I'm going to give the mouse some honest thoughts regardless. When it comes to build quality, weight, shape, it's still elite. It's going to be the same as it was before. Yes, the weight is a few grams lighter. It comes in on my scale at 58 grams without the power play puck, which, honest to God, what percent of people are using power play? I've seen thousands of setups when I do setup Sunday streams, and I can count on one hand the amount of power play mousepad setups I've seen. So that just seems like a useless feature taking up weight, but I don't know, what do I know? I'm going to get into some of the parts of this mouse that actually have changed, notably the clicks. I would say these are the biggest change. So yeah, they switched to their own Lightforce optical switches, which are already found in the G502X from Omron 20Ms in the OG Superlight. And the big thing I saw being pointed out in literally every review of this mouse is that the clicks are heavy. And I don't know if there's just some copy-to-copy variants, but I would not say my clicks are unusably heavy or not spammable. It's not as light as before. There's no denying that. These Omron 20Ms are some of the lightest click implementations I've ever felt, but still for spam editing in Fortnite for clicking scenarios, yes, it is much sharper and more tactile, but I feel that's what people were asking for in the OG Superlight, at least around the time when it launched. So it's funny to see people getting that and complaining that the clicks are too heavy. But yeah, if you don't like a firmer, sharper, more tactile click, it probably will be something that you either need to get adjusted to or just won't be a fan of. But I feel these will loosen up with time, if anything. You can see there's a little bit of pre-travel towards the top of my click, which I think is a good thing. It's literally only going to make them lighter. There is not really any noticeable side-to-side wobble. The click quality, maybe it feels a little bit, the newer batches of the GPX really had the same. But yeah, it really is a more premium feeling implementation, which is interesting to see when a company goes from mechanical to optical. Usually it's the other way around, but yeah, these feel like how the initial batches of Kill 4.0s felt in terms of just very sharp, very defined tactile bump whenever you click down, basically. And yeah, I feel that was kind of getting drowned out over all of the clicks are heavy discourse, which totally I'm not going to deny, but I have been testing the Endgame Gear OP1 Wii, which does have even heavier feeling optical switches, so it could just be the comparison where I'm these aren't really that heavy. But yeah, totally spammable. It will vary person to person, but yeah, I was not freaking out over the clicks. One thing that might be worthy of freaking out about, though, is the fact that the side buttons were completely unaddressed. I'm not joking. These are the same mushy side buttons that the GPX launched with, which is kind of sad. And I've said many times before, I don't have a problem with them. I use them for building in Fortnite, and the GPX is just one of my favorite mice to use. But just the fact that people can mod the mouse with a piece of fucking tinfoil and have the clicks feel crisp, but Logitech can't be asked to update the design in years is just crazy to me. But yeah, I don't know. You guys will be able to hear that they are quite literally fucking identical. There is still going to be a good amount of pre-travel, which is really the only issue and what leads to the mushy feeling. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see it, but on both buttons, really the same mushy pre-travel as before, not much post-travel. And yeah, they do work functionally perfectly fine. They feel very responsive. They're light. They could just be a lot more crisp and tactile when you activate them. But yeah, it seems like the side button war has been lost. They're just not going to fucking change it. The scroll wheel is another thing that was changed, but it is using the same encoder, so I can only imagine they added lube, because the steps are a lot smoother and the tactile steps are less defined. There is still a notch feeling, but it just doesn't feel as sharp and precise as before. I don't know if people were complaining about the old GPX wheel, but if you are looking for something a bit smoother, that's what this is going to offer. I feel this is more or less a change that people people just adjust to. I know some people like need the fucking scroll wheel for like tap strafing binds or whatever it may be, but yeah, I feel like you'll be able to get adjusted to this. Like, it's not that drastically different compared to the old version. But yeah, now the skate design, this is just so funny to me. They updated the design ever so slightly. They did not address the fact that the skates are paper thin, but they do make it so you can't put like replacement skates for the GPX on the new model. If you don't get what I was saying, you can see that on the new version the feet don't curve inwards, and it's just such a low quality PTFE blend or whatever it is that's just like, I can't believe Logitech would troll us by updating the design but not even bothering to change the actual skates themselves. So this is an Artisan Shidenkai, which I did put on because the mouse was just playing slower on some control pads like the Saturn Pro. It wasn't unusable, but I did just want the mouse to feel faster in motion. But if you are looking for more controlled skates, these will work until they fucking wear down and then you're just swiping the plastic on your mouse pad, in which case you will get replacement skates, which are not available yet. I was thinking about throwing on some dot skates, but I don't know, perhaps I will, because the stock skates are really meh, especially on slower pads, and even on something like a Heian, they'll make it play significantly slower. But yeah, now moving on to one of the biggest features added, the Hero 2 sensor and 2000 hertz pulling rate, which they've covered up. I had one shred of hope. I was like, if it doesn't say 2000 hertz pulling rate on the box, there is a possibility that Logitech will release a firmware update down the line enabling 4000 hertz. But as I saw pointed out by House Gaming as well, the dongle itself is very small compared to something like a hyper pulling dongle, so it just doesn't seem likely. And is the 2000 hertz implementation bad? Absolutely not. I do think that 4K just would have made more sense full stop, since Razer introduced that to the world like a year and a half ago in wireless. But Logitech's 2000 hertz, I do have faith in it to be extremely consistent. I have noticed it so far. I would say in a blind test between 1K and 2K, I would not be able to pick it out just based on my initial impressions. Maybe after I use the mouse for a week and really get adjusted to how the sensor tracks, I'll be able to notice it in more detail. But it's like, yes, the sensor does feel exquisite. It feels swaggy, whatever you want to use. It feels flawless. But just like most of the other changes on the mouse, it's not going to feel leaps and bounds ahead of the previous generation sensor. It is better on paper, and it also does have a better feature set, so by no means am I saying I'm not happy with the sensor and just the overall wireless implementation. They have added, finally, a liftoff distance drop-down menu. For some reason, you have to tick the advanced settings to actually get to. It took me a moment to find it. But yeah, 2000 hertz, I'm obviously going to play with it all day, every day over 1000. And like I said, when I make another video about this mouse, I'll talk about what I really think about the sensor implementation in detail. But yeah, in the limited testing I've done on tracking scenarios and Fortnite, it does feel very nice. I haven't had any hitches, like anything really to note bad about the sensor. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, compared to the 4K implementations from companies like G-Wolves, Pulsar, Lamzu, I just can't notice that massive of a difference really either way. So it's going to be an elite sensor implementation from Logitech. But again, I feel like they could have done, with all of this time, a 4K implementation. I really wonder what the reason is, whether it be battery life or just overall like PC compatibility that they didn't go for it. But yeah, this is a 2000 hertz pulling rate mouse. And I think that's going to be about all in terms of mouse coverage for now. When it comes to DPI button, that was not added. It doesn't even say Pro Superlight 2 on the bottom of the mouse. It doesn't say Superlight 2 here, which is kind of fucking crazy. And I almost forgot the biggest feature on the entire mouse, USB-C. Look at that. Is that not fucking ridiculous? Like, people said they couldn't do it. People said Logitech was never gonna put a USB-C port on their mouse. Well, what say you now, haters? So yeah, obviously the battery life is going to be good. It's rated at 95 hours. It's only gone down 4% in the day of use. So take that for what it's worth. I will talk about the battery once I've put more hours on the mouse. But yeah, it does seem to be very good. Another thing like sensor consistency, I just don't think Logitech is going to be poor when it comes to battery life. But yeah, now the big question, if you have a Superlight, is this worth buying? Honestly, I would say it's not something, especially at launch, that you just need to go throw your money at. Like, the Superlight now is $110, I believe, and if I was buying one of these, I don't know if I could say this is worth $50 more than the Superlight at the current moment. But yeah, it really feels like a few of the features are more so differences rather than improvements. Logitech was asking themselves, like, what can we do to the Superlight? And they just didn't come up with that much of an answer. They were like, slightly lube the scroll wheel, slightly alter the mouse skate design. The optical switches, those are a pretty stark difference just in terms of how the clicks are going to feel. But ultimately, I feel like if you put time on the mouse, you'll adjust to them. They're pretty sharp, premium feeling. I like the clicks, I'll say that much. But yeah, really, this is not an improvement like the GPX was from the original G Pro wireless, so don't feel like this is something you have to go for. If you are a huge fan of the potato shape, you have money, you enjoy buying mice, testing new shit, then yeah, go for this, because I don't think Logitech is going to give us another flagship update for a while, much less a G703 wireless. So yeah, this is a different mouse. It does feel slightly different in hand. Do I feel a weight difference? A very minor one. The weight balancing, if anybody's wondering, does still seem to be very on point. But yeah, I was expecting more when I saw leaks of a G Pro Superlight 2. But yeah, I will have this link down below if anybody's interested, and there will obviously be a lot more coverage on this. I'm going to milk this pretty boring release, don't you worry. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and that's going to be all. Peace.